Hi there, my name is BMX121, and today we are going to be talking about the foundations of sociology. The discipline of sociology is much older than many of its students believe it to be. It has roots in the period after the French Revolution when political conflict, rapid urbanization, and social turmoil convulsed European societies. Intellectuals sought to explain both the bewildering chaos and the new possibilities around them. A man called Auguste Comte in the 18th century was the first to use the word sociology in his six-volume work on positive philosophy published first in 1842. Comte's intentions and the ideas of some of the other founders of sociology are summarized in the following, as I shall explain. So Auguste Comte wanted to find regularities, even laws in social life that resembled Newtonian physics. He showed his difference in the scientific model by adopting the term social physics. His ideas were linked to those of scholars in other two major social sciences. These are economics and political science. They dismissed philosophy as too speculative, theology as the rationalization of superstition, and history as too subjective and superficial. These writers saw themselves as champions of a new way of understanding reality, and they wanted to establish general laws of human behavior, to formulate hypotheses that could be tested, and to develop strict scientific methods. In the USA, the first department was founded in 1892, while the American Journal of Sociology, still the leading journal in the field, was established just 3 years later. The discipline was often too concerned with the adaptation of new immigrants to their new settings, with urban settlements patterns, including the Chicago School, produced celebrated studies in this field, with industrial relations with the community studies. In France, the great French sociologist Émile Durkheim in the 19th century founded the Année sociologique in 1898. It contained a mix of material on law, customs, religion, and social statistics. Durkheim himself concentrated on the elements that bind societies together, an issue close to the heart of a society that had experienced the disintegrating effects of revolution and an invasion in 1871 by Prussia. Durkheim understood that his discussion of how social order and consensus were to be reached necessarily involved comparison with other groups. He tried to understand the religious practices of the Australian Aborigines and systematically collected statistics from a number of European countries to undertake his famous study of suicide. While this is very interesting, by contrast, Karl Marx in the 19th century, who worked in Germany, France, and Britain, saw the waves of rebellion in 1830 and 1848 as ushering in a new era of social revolution. He was consequently interested in class conflict and the dynamics of large-scale social change. He was inevitably constrained in his outlook by being white, male, and European, but nevertheless sought to be international in his outlook, and Marx wrote on India and the USA, and as his socialist ideas caught hold, he found himself in dialogue with revolutionaries from Russia to Cuba, and his daughter Eleanor Marx became a pioneer feminist thinker and agitator. Another person we will talk about is Herbert Spencer. In Britain in the 19th century, Herbert Spencer was preoccupied with slow, long-term evolutionary change. His work paralleled Charles Darwin's writing on the animal and plant worlds. Incidentally, it was he, not Darwin, who coined the term the survival of the fittest, a notion that resonated well with the unregulated capitalism of the period. Spencer's preoccupation with evolution was complemented by detailed social surveys on the desperate plight of the poor in Britain's cities. Charles Booth's surveys, Life and Labour of the People of Britain, published over the period 1891 to 1903, are often cited as classics in this type of sociological inquiry. In addition to work on his native Germany, Max Weber, another 19th century person, wrote on Spain, Italy, and ancient Rome and was fascinated by the different ways in which religious belief facilitated or inhibited the development of capitalism. He was the first sociologist of comparative religion, having examined Hinduism, Confucianism, Buddhism, and Judaism. In addition to his famous studies of Protestantism, he had also sketched out an ambitious study of Islam. In his engagement with Marxism, he sought to develop a holistic sociology that added to the issue of class identities, questions of status, political power, and values, which together would define the opportunity structure available to people. Society context is changing, and therefore there is a changing context of sociology. The relationship between time, place, and culture yield different social outcomes, and these require different forms of sociological investigation. Even the topics that I've mentioned attract the attention of sociologists change as the context changes. We have indicated that sociology developed in somewhat different ways in various countries, and sociologists have been responsive to important historical events, while international, regional, national, and local settings have been influenced by the character of the discipline. That context influences content is, by the way, true of other disciplines too, including science, engineering, and medicine. However, it is particularly true of sociology, given that the discipline links the observer to the subject of the observation so directly, and that sociology has become so important a means of interpreting contemporary social life in an imaginative and critical way. One important limitation of the discipline of sociology is that despite the universalizing ambitions of a number of the founding figures, it has taken a long while for the discipline to expand beyond its heartland in Western industrial societies. The study of non-Western societies was left to anthropologists who found it difficult to develop general laws applicable to all humanity. They found one could not make out a strong ethical case for preserving difference. Liberal anthropologists defended the integrity of their tribe against what they considered the corrupting influences of colonial administrators, traders, and missionaries. Canadian fur traders bribing Hurons with whiskey, the forcible adoption of Aboriginal children by white Australians, or the spreading of fatal venereal disease to the Polynesians are hardly edifying moments in the history of encounters between European and non-European peoples. However, as our subsequent talk slows as and show, it is now too late to wrap people in cellophane and freeze them in a time wrap. Our increasing interconnectedness and interdependency has meant we cannot create tribal iceboxes or human zoos. We live in an interdependent globalizing world. In the wake of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights proclaimed in 1948, there are now insurmountable practical and ethical difficulties in defending the practice of cultural separateness. Neither can the differences between people be explained simply by giving each of them a different voice. We may not, we are fairly sure we will not, be able to develop a social physics with immutable laws as Comte wanted. Yet we need ways of comprehending and comparing societies and peoples that apply from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe, from the Aborigines to the Zulu. We require, in Albrow's 1987 telling phrase, a sociology for one world. Thank you for listening and please subscribe. Hopefully I will post more videos to continue this series. Thanks. Bye.